There were two. Again, the inconsistency.
Two on a scale of 10. Okay.
It'll be skilled because you think about it. 4 starting offensive linemen out. Your starting tight end is out. Your 2 starting DBs are out. And Wink Martindale is playing like he's got Lester Hayes and Darrell Reeves playing corner. He's locking up all this man-to-man. And you're playing backups to backups on your defensive side of the football.
I love Lester Hayes. Thank you for bringing him up. Go ahead.
But Dallas committed, again, Skip, 13 penalties. 13. Dak threw 2 interceptions. And you know what happens if you're in a playoff game and you commit 13 penalties and you commit 2 turnovers in the first half? You're going home. That is the Giants had no business in this ball game this late in the ball game, considering what they were up against. And Daniel Jones, it was 14-13, a 4th and 1. He's got Saquon wide open, and he throws. Saquon is running full speed, on a flat route. And people talk about Saquon's got to make that catch. I can tell you've never run full speed on a flat route and tried to catch a ball because you can put that ball out in front of him. I'm like, come on, Daniel Jones, that's an easy throw, bruh. Get that out of him. Who knows? Saquon might turn up the sideline because he has Esch in a trail position. He might turn up the sideline, and who knows what could have happened. But Dallas goes down the field and scores, Skip. Dak first half stats, 10 of 16, 116, 2 interceptions. Second half, he was much better, 11 of 14, 145, 2 touchdowns. I just think the thing is, Skip, when you play in a team like this, you put them away early. The Giants should have had no business thinking they still had a chance to win this ball game late in the third quarter. But Dallas found themselves in that situation. Again, you were the most penalized team last year, and when they asked Mike McCarthy, he got upset about it, and he said, we're going to fix that. We're going to fix that. We're going to work on that. And he said they worked on it this offseason. Well, clearly, guess what? They're still the most penalized team in 2022 as they were in 2021, and they're still inconsistent. And remember, I told you, what team are we expecting to see? The one that beat Minnesota by a record margin or the team that showed against Green Bay? I said, I think it's the one at Green Bay because of the inconsistency. And that's what they've been all year. Even at Dak at his best, which was Minnesota, more times than not, he's inconsistent. He's here. He's kind of like the stock market. I'm sure they would like for it to keep going up, but he's just been a bumpy ride. So I gave it a 2, Skip, considering what the Cowboys are, what they think they can be, versus a team that we know what they are.
All right. I hear, I acknowledge, I actually respect every last point that you made, the Hall of Famer that you are, because it's all from a perspective of wisdom and feet on the ground on this day after Thanksgiving as to what happened yesterday to my team at Jerry World as a 10-point favorite. But on a scale of 0 to 10, my respect level for what my team did yesterday, and this is just me, given the fact that we had lost 6 of our last 8 on Thanksgiving, I'm going to go all the way up to an 8, and I'm going to tell you why. Okay. And to your point, as we opened this show, yes, I wasn't on the edge of my seat. I was rolling on the floor next to Hazel saying, what are we doing? Because at halftime, I'm going to read you what I tweeted just to put my feet back on the ground. I said, at halftime, we're trailing 13-7.
Right.
I tweeted, the Dallas Cowboys are playing disgustingly undisciplined football, and then I went all caps, because they weren't ready to play this game against a dangerous division rival. More fat cat syndrome, smelling themselves unmotivated by a slug of a head coach. I called him a slug of a head coach because that's how he too often comes across to me. They weren't ready to play against a decimated football team that they do play twice a year, every year, and always have since their inception in 1960. They are division rivals, and you know full well every time you play the Chiefs, or the Raiders, the Chargers, you know what happened. They could be beat all to hell, and they tried to beat the hell out of you.
Yes.
There's something about the rivalry, even though we're probably deeper rivals with Washington and Philly, there's some respect level with the Giants, but maybe we didn't take them seriously at all when they are still something of a force to be reckoned with, because they do have a new coach and they do have a new defensive coordinator, and they were 7-3.
Right.
And they still had a quarterback who's playing much better this year than he's ever played in his life. And you love Saquon, and they still have Saquon, and he is the classic home run hitter. He is he's the home run hitter, if I can go baseball on you, who hits 230 for the season, and he leads the league in strikeouts, but he hits
50 homers.
Yeah, maybe 70 homers, because he is capable of 70 home runs. So they still had a Slayton who is capable of mossing Anthony Brown as he did in the first half. That they still have enough firepower and enough pride, knowing that they were 7-3, that it's danger zone, because what you did in the first half to me was you created a little monster.
Right.
You did, because they had to go into halftime.
They gave the Giants life.
Yeah, they had to go to halftime thinking, we got these fat cats. We got them on their heels. Now let's go out and let's just keep poking and prodding until they just self-destruct all over the field. They're coughing it up that the quarterback has thrown us 2 footballs. Maybe he'll throw us 2 more in the second half. Maybe they'll fumble it a couple of more times. Maybe they'll wind up with a franchise record number of penalties, because they were on pace to do that. Right. They wound up with 13. They had 7 at halftime. But they know full well that in the big playoff game last year, they set the franchise record for penalties. And as you said, they led the league in penalties, and now they're dead even with Denver for the number of penalties, even though they've now played 1 more game than Denver.
Denver will take the lead on Sunday.
Okay, Denver probably will, because they have a coaching issue themselves. Yeah. And you can argue we still have a coaching issue. Okay, so now before I launch on why I'm going up to an 8, let's go back and look at the first half, because right out of the box, you want to talk about giving them life? Do you have a clever little play that you're going to run where you're going to trick them? Do you have something? Do you remember what they did in the third quarter in the big touchdown drive on a big third down in the third quarter? They ran an option play where Dak could have kept it, and he pitched to Zeke on the edge, and he got around the edge and went for 13 yards, right? Yeah. Okay, do you have that play in your back pocket? Look, Zeke has become a plow horse. He actually had his best game of the season yesterday, because they did open some holes for him.
He looked better than your boy Pollard yesterday.
Okay, well,
truth be told.
Okay, truth be told, my boy Pollard looked a lot better than yours, Saquon, because Saquon got flat out once again shut down by the Dallas Cowboys.
Look what he had blocking. He had guys.
Okay, I'm just saying, he has never haunted the Dallas Cowboys. They have always done a number on him. He's never had a big breakout, where you just say, wow, that's Saquon Barkley there, where he took over a game. He's never taken over a game against the Cowboys. What are they? They've won 10 of the last 11. Right. Has he ever even beaten the Cowboys? Probably I don't think he has. Okay, so the point is, Zeke was running hot, but Zeke to start the game is a plow horse back to me. He's more of a fullback than a tailback. And you're just going to line up and just say, let's run it up the gut on these guys?
Skip,
really?
In a situation like that, you're on your own 40, not their. I can see if you're on your 40. That's a long field goal. Okay. You don't want that. But Skip, why would you give them life? Why would you give them a short field? That's almost like a turnover. You like, hey, let's just take care of the football. Let's not give them anything to get excited about. So if they stop you on 4th and 1 on your own 35, 40-yard line, what do you think that gives them? That gives them life.
It gave them huge life, because they were so excited. They go down, and Graham Gano ties the longest field goal ever made in New York football Giant history. He made one from 57 yards, and I'm like, uh-oh. It's letter of the law, because maybe technically, but just on your eye test of the play, I don't think it helped them at all. And I don't think said lineman really thought he was going way downfield to run block. He
even tried to get back.
He did. Okay, but it saved us from being down 7-0, and then Gano makes it, and it's all of a sudden it's 3-0. So you see no yellow fly. Yeah, so I'm sorry, I can't say definitively that, okay, I'm going to give you a pass on that pass, because it's just a bad idea.
Yeah, I think he misread the coverage. I thought he thought they was playing, and the corner was going to keep sinking. Yeah. And ran a stop route.
He did.
And he drove on it. He didn't keep sinking.
He drove on it. And he's the backup corner who's never played before. Yes. And all of a sudden he looks up and he's got a Thanksgiving interception at Jerry World. And it's like, oh my God, it's meant to be.
Right.
We've got underdog fever here, right? So here we go. So that's the first interception of the 2 in the first half. And then Dak comes back and has a good drive, and all of a sudden they go ahead 7-3.
You may not be a top guy, but he's making the salary.
Did he run by Anthony Brown? He did not. Did he smoke him? Nope. Did he roast him? Did he toast him? Nope.
Went over the top of him.
You're right there. You're right where you're supposed to be.
Yeah.
Anthony Brown is a decent cornerback.
Yeah.
He's not a great one.
No, he's not a Pro Bowl corner.
You can't even maybe call him a good one, but he's decent to me. And he's credible enough that you can get by with him, and he's in the right place at the right time and makes the wrong read of the play. Because I don't know if he ever saw the football. He looked, he turned, he swiveled, he looked back.
But if you notice, Skip, Slayton did a good thing. He pulled him. Yeah. And he kind of threw him off balance.
He did.
So he used his leverage. He used him as leverage to go over the top of him.
Okay. So it's a huge play for them. It didn't score, but it got them to the one. So they can just slam it right in. And all of a sudden, we're down 10-7. And now we get to interception number 2. This is horrible. This is what Dak has been doing all too much of. This is a bad idea. There are 3 white jerseys in the vicinity, and one's underneath him. He's covered.
Yeah, it's
okay. And it's just too many white shirts. Dak can see white shirts all around 88, and he's doing kind of what Kirk Cousins does with Justin Jefferson. I say 18, I'll just throw it over there, and somebody will catch it. Well, sometimes the odds are so against you that you can't pull it off. And I don't know exactly where he thought CD was going to wind up on the route, but it's completely off kilter.
It looks like because the guy's on the inside and playing, because Skip, in this coverage, you're trying not to let somebody cross your face. You're not trying to let somebody get inside of him. That's why I said if CD nods him to the out, he's going to jump to the out, and now you scot-free.
It's a bad idea. It's too risky for what could come off of it. Because if you're throwing it into the middle of the field, and he's been throwing a lot of middle-of-the-field interceptions. We saw it at Green Bay, obviously, twice, and we saw it against Chicago, and here we go again. And it came at such a terrible time because you want to talk about giving them life. That sideline went crazy, the Giants sideline, because all of a sudden, wait a second.
We thinking this our day. We done got 2 picks this early?
2 picks this early, and you go right down and cash with a 47-yard field goal, and all of a sudden, it's 13-7 at halftime. Yeah. And by the way, that down and distance on that throw by Dak, that was 3rd and 15 from the Giants' 35-yard line. So you're trying to bite off more than you can chew, where you're saying, I can pull this off. I'm gonna try this. And it's a bad idea because now you definitely created a little monster here.
Man, Skip, I'm just telling you. And that coverage right there, the whole guy, he's licking his chops because I know he's playing inside leverage, and he's vulnerable. So I'm going to give him an out nod. But he didn't even give him a nod. These guys now, Skip, they just run up the field. They don't let the quarterback know when they're about to break. The quarterback can release the ball. Now you're asking the quarterback to do an awful lot. Throw me open. No, bro, give me something. Work. CD got to work on that route. I'm going to put that one on CD, Skip. In all my years, that one's on CD.
Really?
Because, CD has to run a better route than he ran. Skip, you can't ask for a better coverage. He's supposed to split the seam on that and hit his head on the goalpost. All he has to do is nod.
I don't see that at all.
I promise you, Skip. I promise you.
He's triple covered. They're all looking for 88.
Skip, once the ball released, the 2 safeties are going to convene. But they're deep because – hey, we're not letting anything get over the top of us. And so once, like I said, he tries to back shoulder him, which is a bad idea because guess what? Holmes is in his back pocket.
He was. Okay, I'm going to write it off as wrong page. They're not on the same page, but whatever. Interception number 2.
Right.
And I'm going to tell you that in Cowboys history, every time they have lost the turnover battle by 2 or more, they're 3-14 in those games. Right. Well, yesterday they wound up losing their turnover battle 0-2, right? So you're asking for it, right?
Yes.
And if you commit 13 penalties on top of that, you are really asking for it.
If that's a playoff game, you're going home. You're going to be disappointed. You're not going to come back here and say, how about my Cowboys?
Hey, if it's almost any other game, you're going home.
It was very similar to last year against the 49ers. Then you have 1 turnover and 14 penalties.
Okay. So for me, it felt like deja voodoo that it was Green Bay first half all over again when we moved the ball on Green Bay, but we threw it to them twice in the first half. And we gave Aaron Rodgers, Dracula as I call him, we gave him life. We didn't drive the stake through his heart. We gave him life. And then you know what was about to happen in the second half.
Right.
But here's my flip difference, that while the first half was Green Bay, the second half was all Minnesota.
Yes.
What we did at Minnesota. So the reason I'm going up to an 8 is because I still respect even the decimated Giants and their pride factor and their new coach and their old quarterback. I still respect him because he has ability. He has athletic ability. He has a nice arm. Again, in the end, you can say he turned back into Daniel Jones, but but I still fear him and Saquon enough because they've done a lot in this league, and you gave them all the momentum going into the second half, and then you come out and go Minnesota on them, and you score 21 straight points.
Right.
You can argue you should have done that in the first half, and you would be right. But they didn't do it in the first half, and despite all of the above, it was a tour de force in the second half where I saw potentially a Super Bowl preview in the second half.
But yeah, but
I saw a parade, a cavalcade of stars in the second half where I said, yeah, I'll take that and that and that and that.
But that's the thing, though, Skip. And the Giants still might make the playoffs because right now I think they're in the 6th spot.
Yep.
Along with, what Tampa would have a home game. But the Cowboys, the Giants, and Seattle currently would all make the playoffs. But the concerning thing is that you play one of these teams, you go on the road to San Francisco, you go on the road to Tampa, and you turn the ball over twice in the first half. You going home. Tom Brady's going. Tom Brady ain't Daniel Jones.
Game over.
As much as Jimmy G.
I got it.
You're going home, Skip.
Okay, but I kept telling you that this was the Texas two-step where you're playing to validate what you did at Minnesota. Because if you do validate it, if it becomes a predictor instead of an indictment of who you should be, if you can pull this off to get all the way to 8-3 with your little mini bye, 10 days off, ahead of home games against Indianapolis, that's on Sunday night, a week from this Sunday.
Right.
And then you get the Texans at home, and then you get to go to Jacksonville, a game you should win.
Right.
Now you're sitting pretty for the rematch to wreak revenge over those Eagles on Christmas Eve, right?
Right.
And if you could pull that off, you would get all the way to 12-3. And I think there's a very good chance we can get to 12-3 off what I saw in the second half. Because you know and I know my team has to feel pretty good about what it did do in the second half.
Well, you feel good about, Skip. You won the ball. You made all these mistakes. You were as inconsistent as you were, and you still found a way to win the ball game. But a lot of help from the Giants. Skip, it's 3rd and goal from the 15. Why in the hell would Wink Martindale play man coverage?
Are you talking about in the first drive?
No, the one he hit Schultz on the 7th route.
Yeah,
Skip, why
that's
would
what
you?
I said. Are you talking about the next touchdown?
Yes.
Okay, but then all of a sudden, Daniel Jones and company go on a late garbage drive that didn't really amount to much. But would you believe that at that moment, with 1:13 left when he missed that field goal, that the Giants had a grand total of 236 yards complete for the game, 236. So they go 64-7. And all those, I congratulate everybody at halftime who had taken the 10 and bet on the Giants, and they backdoor covered because all the Cowboy bettors, they got burned.
Oh, you got burned,
right?
And you got burned with the prop bet with Tony Pollard having 64 yards. He got stopped for a 4-yard loss.
He did. No, that's true. There's another one. But the point was, I know it did come down to an onside kick, but 28-20 is a little misleading because we dominated them in the second half the way, to your point, we should have dominated them in the first half.
Right.
So, again, Green Bay and then Minnesota.
Right.
And I'm good with Minnesota because I saw star power. I saw it all over the field.
Yeah, but I'm not so sure now. I'm looking at Minnesota, and we saw what Mac Jones, and we know Mac Jones doesn't have the biggest arm. He throws for damn near 400 because Minnesota is 31st in pass D.
Okay.
And you would think they would be better. We're going to talk about them a little later with Zadarius and Danielle Hunter. But they're almost dead last in pass defense. Mac Jones looked like Tom Brady.
Okay, but on the other hand, Bill Belichick couldn't stop Kirk Cousins, and we held Kirk Cousins to 1 of 11 on 3rd down.
But you know what the thing was, Skip? You get a 99-yard touchdown, and you run into the kick punter, and it ends up being a touchdown.
Okay.
So it was 2 plays that really doomed you. And Hunter Henry, we're going to talk about him. So
Final point on my Dallas Cowboys. Overall, I thought my defense played extraordinarily well, albeit against what's left of that offensive line. But I still believe that quietly yesterday, my defense had a dominating game. Like I said, only 236 yards with 1:13 left. If you take away the one freakish catch where Slayton mossed Anthony Brown, we were suffocating.
Right.
And again, should Saquon or should Daniel Jones have hit Saquon better? Should they have converted that? Yeah, I'll give you that. But still, my man Micah, your man Micah, my Micah, 11 from heaven, did have 2 more sacks. He's now 1 back of Matthew Judon, only 1 back. So he had another big game. He had some weird personal foul late in the game that I'm not even sure what happened. It contributed, it became the 13th penalty, but I thought he played a dominating football game.
Mm-hmm. He did.
Okay, so I got that going for me, and I feel real good going into the mini bye.
Yeah, I just Skip. But you think about it, they got the ineligible man downfield. This game would have been a lot different had
if they had maxed out their points in the first half.
Yeah.
It could have been a mountain too steep.
Because they were moving the ball fairly well against your defense in the first half of the ball game, first quarter and a half of the ball game. It was like, okay, this might be something. No.
Shannon, in the end, I was impressed. Forgive me, maybe I'm viewing the world through metallic blue-colored glasses.
Yeah, because the Giants with all those guys. I mean, to make it a game like they did in the first half, dealing with all those injuries, all the guys that they have, Skip, that's not a good offensive line with their starters in.
Thanks for watching, Undisputed fans. Subscribe here to get the very latest from Skip and Shannon. Plus, go watch a few segments from our other shows on FS1.